All these Miami and Notre Dame fans just hating on Alabama and berating them while they're playing on championship weekend is the definition of you hating outside the club. You can't even get in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. Hope all of you having a great Monday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man. We got some, let's just say, interesting things to talk about in today's video. It's early December. Side note, my favorite time of the year. I love when it's getting cold, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I love the cold weather. You can't beat it. And for all my gym goers, is there a better feeling than walking out of the gym all hot and sweaty to that cold, crisp air? I don't think so. But getting back on track here, it's early December. What does that mean for us college football fans? Chaos is actively ensuing right in front of our eyes, and I love it. You got coaches leaving left and right. You got the transfer portal. It's about to heat up, and we got the playoffs. And we're going to talk all about that, and we're going to make more videos today. Be on the lookout for that. But for now, at least, we got to talk about something that transpired this most recent weekend and something that led up to it. I don't want to make this a long video. However, I do want to talk about it a little bit, and I am going to toot my own horn a little bit. I hope y'all don't mind. I'm sure many of you saw my reaction to the playoff rankings. If you haven't, feel free to check it out for yourself. We had a great time reacting to that. I enjoyed it. I think it's more than safe to say your boy Maddie got a little too passionate in that video, but hey, it is what it is. I love my team. I'm excited we got in. But I wasn't so passionate that Alabama got in. What I was really rallied up about is all the people calling me stupid leading up into it. I'll be honest with you. Me being hyped up in that video had nothing to do with Alabama getting in. Because to tell you the truth, and I stated it, don't act like this is brand new information. I've been saying it since the Auburn game. Alabama was a lock, and that was 2 weeks ago. Why was I so amped up? I stated in the video, I demand a formal apology. Kind of joking when I say that, but seriously, I demand an apology, and it has nothing to do with you hating Alabama. It's between me and you. If you didn't see this video as well, late on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, like we do every single year, I filled out my final bracket, and what do you know, not to gloat too much, it was perfect. And if you want a good laugh, if you want a good smirk, if you're a Bama fan, go to that comment section, because everybody was saying how stupid I was, and I'll pop up some of the comments here. I'm not going to pop up all of them, because there's thousands. I'm not going to read them off either. You can read them off for yourself. Everybody's saying, I can't believe this guy's got him at 9. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. And the quote or phrase everybody loves to say is, oh, this guy just doesn't know ball. What is this guy talking about? Yada, 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 this, that, and the third. You know what they're saying, and, well, here we are. Not only was I kind of right about Alabama getting in, I nailed it on the head. The entire bracket, I was right about Miami. I was right about James Madison. Everything. It was perfect. And it's not even just Bama, guys. I made a video on Saturday. I'll pop it up on the screen for you right here, titled, I Have Bad News for Notre Dame. I told you at 3 p.m. Central on Saturday that Notre Dame wasn't getting in. I told you what was going to happen even before the Alabama game. And not just on Saturday alone, I was telling you days leading up into this. I could see this coming from a mile away. I don't want to get into this too much either. But whenever I tell you guys, hey, I've been talking to some of my sources, and I have sources here, sources there, giving us this information, I don't just say that to say that. I mean it. I'm not going to divulge into this too much, because if you say too much, that's how you lose your sources. I may or may not have the inside scoop on some situations. I'll leave you with that, and you're probably already sick and tired. All right, Matt, I get it. You was right. I was wrong. All right, well, what's the whole focal point of this video? And we're not just going to talk about that. But here's what I do want to talk about. Let me explain to you why what happened on Saturday, or my apologies, on Sunday morning, it happened. One thing humans are terrible at doing, including us in the sports community, including myself, is having recency bias. And it's just human nature. I'll give you a great example. If a tornado hits your area, everybody immediately is like, oh my gosh, this is the worst natural disaster to come through here in the history of it. But in reality, it's not. Something worse happened 30 years ago. But since it's just happened, you think it's the worst thing ever. I will tell you this much, though. I don't know if we'll ever see something as bad as April 27th, 2011. If you're from North Alabama, you remember that day like it was yesterday. I'll never forget that day. It felt like I was in a dream. It felt like a movie. It just doesn't seem real, but it was. It was a living nightmare. And I love weather. I love snow, tornadoes. I love tracking all that. Well, fun fact, I was considering being a meteorologist coming out of high school. That's how infatuated I was with it. With that being said, you never want to live through something like that, but that's besides the point. Different video for a different day. April 27th, 2011 was a disastrous day in the Southeast. but the place it hit hardest is where I reside, Northern Alabama. It was bad, really bad. And getting back on track here, sorry for that tidbit on tornadoes. I know y'all don't care about that. Applying what I said to the college football community, anytime we see a spectacular catch, what we do? Oh my gosh, that's the greatest catch ever. But no, there's probably a better catch only a year ago. Anytime we see a great game, we go, dude, that's probably the best game of all time. But it just wasn't. We always say that. And I tell you guys this, I am a professional overreactor, so nobody has worse recency bias than me, myself, and I. We do it every single year and every single week on the channel, especially in week 1. That is when the overreactions happen. Why am I bringing all that up, though? It's a great question, my friend. I'll let to answer it. Everybody with this CFP bracket and these CFP rankings had recency bias. I guess you could say I'm patting myself on the back here. I never looked at this SEC championship game for Alabama and went, okay, it's make or break. If they get blown out, nah, I'm dropping them out of the playoff. That doesn't make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is one game. I'm telling you now for future reference, you have to zoom out when you're talking about the college football playoff rankings and the final bracket. You can't just zone in on what happened in championship or even rival weekend. You can't just point to one game, period, the end. Did Alabama get blown out against Georgia? Absolutely. But may I remind you, they beat this same Georgia team at Georgia at night. Alabama, despite what you think of them, has the best win in all the college football. Nobody has a better win. Indiana had an impressive win against Ohio State, but it wasn't on the road. It was neutral site. When you take a look at Alabama's resume, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even comparable to Notre Dame and Miami's. It was far superior. They was in the top 10 in every metric out there. Did everybody forget about the 4-game stretch where Alabama beat 4 straight ranked teams? They beat Georgia at Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Missouri at Missouri. And they beat Tennessee. I know those teams aren't ranked anymore, but still, those are 4 decent/good teams. But everybody's forgotten about it. Why? Because it feels like it happened so long ago. But when you were talking about these rankings, you got to look at the entire season. Here's the bottom line. If you want to throw Alabama in this, even though Alabama wasn't even the last team in and the last decision was Miami and Notre Dame, but even if you want to throw them in there, did you see the strength of schedule that Alabama had? It was in the top 10. Did you see Notre Dame's and Miami's? 44th and 45th. What are we talking about? Despite what you think, these metrics you're looking at right here, they're pretty dang good because it doesn't just point to the last couple of games, the last 6 games. It points to the entire season, the entire body of work, and you got to look at that. I can't speak for you, but I'm glad the committee is valuing strength of schedule. It has got to matter. I can guarantee you this much, too. The SEC, the days of Texas scheduling Ohio State, those days are over with. That's a different video for a different day, and I also appreciate the committee doing what they did in Notre Dame because we have got to penalize teams like Notre Dame who think they're bigger than the game. They want to stay independent. I know why they're doing it because they get all the money. That's also a different video for a different day. But if you're not going to play in a conference championship and you get to cherry pick your schedule, no, we're not going to allow you to have a crappy schedule, have the 44th best strength of schedule in the nation, and just have a cakewalk to the playoff. It's stupid because, yes, you play 2 tough teams this year. Only 2. I'm not considering USC a tough team. USC is a decent team/good team. They're not a tough team. You play 2 tough teams this year, and you lost both of them. Outside of that, you did nothing. You did nothing. Here's the difference. If you want to joke on, well, Alabama plays 2 cupcakes a year, Matt, in the non-conference, that's fine. They do that on purpose because they know the SEC is a gauntlet. Here's the thing with that, and I'll give credit to Miami. With being in a conference, you don't get to pick who you play for all your conference games. Here's the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll end out the video. I don't want to make it super long. For future reference, please, I am asking for your sake, not mine, because I already know this information. For your sake, you got to look at the entire season. You got to look at the full body of work. You cannot watch a team get demolished in a championship game, whether it be the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, or Big 12 championship, and go, nah, man, they looked awful. They don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. You can't do it, not on championship weekend, because that team made it to the championship for a reason. There's a reason Miami wasn't playing in the championship. And it also doesn't make sense to penalize that team because that is a bonus game. Meanwhile, Miami and Notre Dame are eating cheesy puffs. All these Miami and Notre Dame fans just hating on Alabama and berating them while they're playing on championship weekend is the definition of you hating outside the club. You can't even get in. Notre Dame fans, you're not even playing on championship weekend. So, and I mean this with all due respect, shut your mouth. That's all I got to say. Let me know your thoughts down below. But